Hey everyone, wanted to touch base with you this week. I apologize that we weren't able to meet for a regular Zoom session on Wednesday evening. Had a little mishap in our area, and the entire area or region was without internet service due to fiber lines being cut. So I do apologize for that and appreciate your patience and flexibility. I wanted to do a short video just to basically touch base with you this week as we have our first assignment coming up, just to make sure everyone has a true understanding of what we're going to be looking at and kind of what will be expected within the assignment that's turned in. I'm in the course shell and I'm doing a screen share. And one of the first things I want to remind you as you guys are compiling and finalizing your report, there is the example of what a group interview report looks like based on some previous submission by a former student. I always try to pull up an example and have that in the course shell just to kind of give you an idea of the format and layout. And so I'm going to briefly go over it. I know I did in our first Zoom session, but I also just kind of wanted to do a quick brief review. So you'll see it's a group interview project. You'll list all group member names here, first page. And then as we get into it, remember just a brief abstract explanation, overall overview of the paper. And then our first section that we're asking you to address within the report is just the assessment sections and just telling a little bit about each group member, the individual they interviewed, a little bit about their experience and background, and just kind of how that interview process took place. Was it face to face? Was it in person? Was it done via Zoom, FaceTime, Google Meets, or was it done by email, where you email the questions, ask them to respond, send it to you? So that's basically your introduction. Then we're going to get into and describe the types of assessments that were used amongst the interviewees in your group. So here you will talk a little bit about the formal and informal assessments that were designated to be used within the respective districts. Also, could be some personal preferences of theirs that they use. And so tell a little bit about those assessments and what they're designed to measure. It could be cognitive, academic health, motor and communication, social emotional skills, or levels of the students. Also, want to talk a little bit about how those assessments are used. Once they use them, how do they use that data in going in and planning for the best educational plan or pathway for that specific student that they tested. So you'll see that section is a little bit longer, tends to have a little bit more information in it. The next section is a little bit about the processes used for administering those assessments based in their respective districts, kind of how they go about um, obtaining permission. And so we should see a lot of consistencies in that because it is a pretty much formalized process and as far as procedures for obtaining permission to even proceed. But before we get to the formalized test, it'll be interesting to see in your reports some of the processes and procedures they do on the front side as far as gathering data through informal screenings, RTI, MTSS, and creating that overall whole picture of that student, how they're performing before they really decide does indeed this student need to be tested before we move on and obtain consent. So a little bit about the assessment process. The third section within your report is reporting on legalities, working with families and diversity within their districts of the interviewees that you talk to. So a little bit about the legalities of IDA, kind of how they follow those. Also, the importance or process as far as involving the families. We hope that all families will be heavily involved, but unfortunately that does not always occur. So a little bit about maybe some processes that they try to keep parents actively engaged in this process, as we know it is a little bit of a journey. And then if they work in a district that has a lot of diversity amongst their student body, maybe some processes or steps they have in place to address those needs when indeed it does come up time to test. What are some adjustments they make to meet the needs of a student perhaps that is non-English speaking? Okay, so pretty much what that section entails. And then what the conclusion, this is where you are talking about kind of information overall that you gained from your interviews and the information that you collected and just trying to wrap up the paper. Then there's a reflection section, just some basic reflection information about what each and every one of your group members learned through um, doing these group interviews in regards to testing, the processes that are involved, how they make sure they're in compliance with IDA law, and then also working with a diversity of students. And that would be your reflection. Any references that you may have for outside resources, such as a special education process handbook. Also, make sure you include in your assignment submission your assessment interview questions and answers for each of your group members. So you want to make sure you include that in this assignment submission. So I'll have that from each group member. You can see here as I'm scrolling, all for this particular group and the example, they included all their interview questions and the results that they got or answers from each of the interviewees. And then the last thing is make sure you have the contract basically where each and every group member agree to actively participate and contribute to the overall assignment. So again, this is in your course shell. Just want to make sure indeed that you are aware of it, especially with the assignment coming up. In case you needed to use this as a resource to make sure that your group's on the right track. Please remember, as I stated last week when we first started talking about this group project assignment, each one of you will individually fill out the peer assessment rubric. That template or that document is found in the SPED 805 resources folder. Okay. So each one of you will individually complete that. There's a Likert scale on it. I believe it's from 1 to 4 based on the level of participation that you observe from your group members. Also, please make sure that you include your name on that peer assessment rubric, either above or below the group members that you listed, and include a self-rating or self-evaluation on you and how you felt like you participated. So make sure you include yourself and your group members. Side note, remember, and I stated this the first night, these are individually submitted and it goes straight to me. So none of your group members will see that. It's strictly you're submitting it to me, and I'm the only one that sees that, okay, to understand the level of participation. One group member needs to be designated to submit your interview project, your report with the supporting documentation, which includes the interview questions and responses. Okay, remember, by the time you compile that document, you will definitely be upward or over 20 pages. Okay, the supporting documentation adds to the length of this report or document. The actual report itself that I just reviewed with you, and we'll scroll back up, the main part of the assignment, the report up here that we just reviewed, is normally 3 to 4 pages. Okay, so just remember that. So when you compile a document, get ready to submit, it's going to be very lengthy due to the supporting documentation. All right, so I just wanted to touch base again. I apologize for the mishap. It was kind of out of my control, and I feel bad. Hate to miss. Had to contact Dr. Brooks and have her post the message to give you guys a little notice um, in Blackboard that wouldn't be able to meet. If you have the opportunity, please review. There are 2 different slide decks for Group 2 that just talks about some basic information of tests in general, especially formalized tests, looking at descriptive statistics, different terminology that we use. I will go back when we meet on Wednesday for Zoom 3, and I will cover that information and ask if you have any questions, have a little bit of discussion. Then I will also cover the week 3 information in the slide decks as well. Between now and when I post this video, which will be Friday morning, if you have any questions or need clarification between the time you review the video where I showed you this example group interview project, after I went over it, kind of covered a few key points. If you still have questions, please reach out to me with a question. Again, I'll check my emails in the morning and again in the evening. And remember that that paper and your individual peer rubric submissions will be due on or before midnight on Sunday, coming up this Sunday. So remember that's longer weekend, it's a holiday weekend, but it'll be due Sunday evening. And then I will plan to see you in class on Wednesday next week, and we'll catch up, do a little review of the week 2 slide decks, and then move forward on week 3. So let me know if you have any questions. Thank you.